Hey guys, how's it going? I was on YouTube today as usual and I found this video from New York Times how US police took hands-off approach to armed groups in 2020. I want to go over this video because I think it's extremely deceiving. I think it's full of lies and I think it's pushing a narrative, an agenda that's dangerous to the future of America. Not only it's pushing an agenda, but it's, how should I say it? It's supporting a very, very dangerous idea. And I'm not one of those people that's, oh, the children, save the children. No, no. I'm not trying to save the children. Really, I'm not. Let's just go over this video and let's just dive into it.
Minutes after 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse appeared to fatally shoot two people at a Black Lives Matter protest, he walked away, hands in the air, seemingly surrendering to the police. But the police let him walk by.
We're gonna go back at closer to the end of the video. I want to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse again because I think what happened in this situation speaks volumes, and what New York Times and many other people are refusing to talk about.
We reviewed.
I don't want to talk about it just yet, just because I don't want to sound like I'm just giving out some unsubstantiated opinions. What I say, I want that to have some ground. I don't want to be sitting here and just farting out opinions.
Hundreds of incidents from around the country since protests began in May, and found that at times, police officers gave the benefit of the doubt to armed far-right groups and individuals, which...
Did you hear what she said? And please don't anybody be mad at this person here. She's just a narrator. Don't be calling her stupid. Don't be calling her blah blah blah, left wing, right wing, blah blah blah. Please don't be talking shit about her, okay? She's just a person getting paid $15-20 an hour to read a script, okay? So don't be a dick for no reason to a person that, that's just reading a script.
Which can embolden vigilantes and lead to violence. Far-right armed groups have been on the rise for decades, but in 2020, they started showing up to protests in large numbers.
Okay, have you noticed how she said far-right groups? My problem with that statement is, I think it's untrue. I think it's a lie. Because if you ask majority of these people, 99% of them would say they are not far-right. They are not far-right. And I think if the person is not identifying themselves as a far-right group or individual, to call them a far-right group or individual would be a lie, right? Let's hop in a time machine and let's teleport to Germany, 1938. If you ask Hitler, hey, are you a Nazi? He would proudly say, yes, I am a Nazi, right? He won't be hiding and being sneaky about it. Okay, let's hop back into our time machine. Let's go back to America, to 1940s, 1960s. Do you remember KKK, right? If you ask some politicians, hey, are you part of KKK? They would proudly say, hey, yes, I am. They wouldn't be hiding behind you. They wouldn't be, oh, I'm not. Okay, let's go back into our time machine. Let's go to 2020. Let's go to 2021. Is there KKK still alive? Are there, what do you call them, racist organizations? We're just going to go with KKK, okay, because KKK still exists in very teeny tiny numbers. If you ask a KKK member, hey, are you part of KKK? They will proudly say yes. If you ask, there's people who are Aryan supremacists, like Aryan Brotherhood, right? If you ask a person that's part of Aryan Brotherhood, are you part of Aryan Brotherhood? He will proudly tell you, yes, I am. These people are not hiding who they are, right? So if you ask a right-wing person, hey, are you a racist? They tell you they're not. Are you a right-wing? Would you consider yourself as a right-wing person? They tell you they're not. If you ask them, hey, do you think you are an extremist, right? Do you think you're a nationalist, extremist, right-wing, anti-government type of person? And they tell you they are not. That's probably because they are not. If someone is something, they are proud to be that.
Take your goddamn mask off, and y'all can go play your gun wars back down that way.
These groups have diverse causes, including white supremacy and opposition to the federal government.
That's an unsubstantiated claim. I'm very sad that New York Times, a huge publication, very, very, very wealthy organization, they have a lot of money and they still have something like this. You know, they make a claim that has no grounds to back it up. Come on.
Some extremists have even threatened and been arrested for killing police officers.
Suspect in killing of 2 Bay Area officers tied to right wing. Boogaloo does not identify themselves as right wing. Does that make sense? You can't call somebody a Nazi or a communist if they don't identify themselves as that. Does that make sense? That's like me calling, Trump a socialist. That wouldn't make sense.
But we found that armed groups still sometimes got a pass from the police.
Pass on what? Pass on what? You gotta give me something, New York Times. Man, if I had tenth of your budget, there's real juicy big problems that you can take. There's real problems that you can take on. There's real government corruption. There's real judicial corruption. There's real corruption in police departments. Why do you not take on that? Now I want to talk about this frame specifically. You see this policeman? Do you see this guy on the right side in the red shirt? Do you see how they're friends? Do you see how this guy in the red shirt supports the police? He is friends with the police. He doesn't hate the police. He is not anti-government. Pay attention to it. None of these right-wing, scary, extremist groups, right? We're gonna put that in quotations, are actually anti-government. Watch the interaction. Watch how they behave towards each other.
Your Mountain Dew's right here.
I brought you something as well. You do it this way, all right?
There were nearly 8,000 Black Lives Matter protests.
Guys, if you are anti-government, if somebody's anti-government, they are not meeting, handing shakes and giving each other gifts.
Across the country this summer. The vast majority were nonviolent, researchers say. But our analysis of visual evidence found that many were met by counter-protesters all over the United States, who were often armed.
Okay, 2 things. I know a lot of people are going to say, Dan, aren't you going to talk about the violence? Yes, let's talk about the violence. I think that violence was a deserved, good thing it happened. I'm glad that it happened. Why? Because bullies test you. Bullies test you. They make you stronger. If you had a store, and you did not come out to protect your store, I'm glad it got burned down because you were weak. You were weak, and I'm glad your store, your business got burned down. You deserved it. Now let's talk about these armed groups. Let's talk about this. They're out there on the street. They support the government. The government supports them. Do you see how they're working with each other? They're not in opposition. They're working with each other.
Reviewed news reports, social media videos, and data sets, and found that far-right groups and other individuals brought weapons to Black Lives Matter protests at least 100 times this year. Some Black Lives Matter protests.
So you got producer. I'm talking to the producer, to the director, whoever actually put this together, right? Whoever wrote this script. You gotta give me something. You can't just give me information with no conclusion, right? When you make video, there has to be a conclusion. You give information and a conclusion. Information, conclusion. Information, conclusion, right? Information is like raw ingredients. If you give me raw ingredients, what the hell am I supposed to do with them? You're supposed to bake me a pie, right? You're not supposed to invite me over. Hey, Dan, you want a pie? I would love a pie. Well, here's some flour. Here's an oven. Go make it yourself. Well, shit, I don't need you. Then what the hell do I need you? New York Times, what do I need you for if you aren't giving me an information. I'm not saying there has to be a biased conclusion. I'm not saying push an agenda. That's not what I'm saying. But this information has to lead somewhere, right? There was a bunch of people with guns and they didn't do anything. Well, that's exciting. You're showing me a bunch of people with guns. What happened? Bunch of people with guns on the street and oh, nothing happened. Oh, okay, then thanks for telling me nothing.
Turned violent.
Who blew that up? Why don't you say who was violent? Let's put up some pictures. Let's put up some pictures from some arrests, right? Who is violent? Who? Again, you're giving me it was violent. Who was violent? Was it the armed groups? Were they shooting people down? Were they exploding stuff?
And in Portland, Oregon, an Antifa activist is suspected of killing a far-right Trump supporter. But
hold on a second. So this holds. You're telling me about with these people with guns, guns, all these people with guns, and you're gonna tell me that 1 minute and 49 seconds. So for the first thing is somebody got arrested. All that stuff before that was completely irrelevant. You're telling me that there was an arrest made, but it was some other guy completely irrelevant to those people with guns.
We found that overall, most of the armed protests were on the right. While many states allow people to carry guns openly, there are laws that prohibit armed groups from intimidating people with weapons, illegally guarding property, or impersonating law enforcement or the military.
That I actually very much agree on, especially the last one. Look at these people. If you show this picture to a regular person and you ask him, hey, what do you think that person is? Do you think that person is a cook? Do you think that person is a ballet dancer? Do you think that person is a doctor? No, they would say, hey, that looks like military. And if that is not military impersonation, if that is not a grab for power, I don't know what is.
Many law enforcement agencies have made efforts to curb militias and eliminate paramilitary affiliation in their ranks. But we found multiple instances where police instead took a hands-off approach to armed groups, and in extreme cases, even seemingly affiliated or coordinated with them.
That's exactly what I want to talk about. Unfortunately, whoever wrote this video here did a very poor job of writing based on facts, and they were pushing some kind of crazy agenda that is on some sense very boring, first of all, and second, has no solid conclusion that I see here. Guys, what I want to show in this video, and I guess I want to point out, it's not like there's not an agenda that I'm pushing. There isn't an agenda. I promise you, I don't give a shit about this. Private citizens, just regular people, are working with government, under support of government, to pretend like they have power as police. And we're gonna see more of this. Look at that. They're standing around, right, talking. Nobody. They're not fighting. They're on the same side because they are on the same side.
The most common response we saw was a permissive attitude to armed groups. Kaipa, California, in June, a crowd of people, many of them armed and some affiliated with far-right groups, claimed to be guarding the streets.
What are those groups? What are those groups? You gotta give me some names.
They broadcast their movements on social media.
We've got snipers on the roofs, all on these roofs. I got 120 rounds right there in case something goes on.
In case something goes on? Like what? A sudden zombie attack? In case something. What is that something? Zombies? Are zombies gonna attack you? World War III? What is that something? What is that something? There's a military I'm sorry. That looks like a military truck to me, but God knows, maybe that's just, not a military truck. Maybe that's just, what is this? I don't know. Looks like maybe a city bus. Maybe this is a city bus. If you are not trying to pretend that you are part of the government, if you're not trying to pretend that you're part of the military, it is very suspicious that these people dress just like military, act like military, and even have vehicles like military vehicles.
They falsely believed the town was under siege by Antifa activists because of disinformation spread online.
You're not from this town, get out.
If you're not from this town, get the fuck out. I don't know what town that is, but please. Actually, they did say what town it was. Yeah. So, guys, if you're not from that town, just leave. Just don't visit them. Let them stew in their own bullshit. Everybody knows how much economically you prosper and how much societally, how much you prosper, like as a society, you know, because there's not just economic sides to prospering. When you live in an enclosed environment, right? If you're not talking to anybody else from any outsiders, I wouldn't even want to be in that city. What kind of city is that? If you're not from this town, get the hell out.
Some wore symbols from anti-government movements, like the Three Percenters, as seen here.
What are you talking about? Producers, what are you talking about? Three Percenters are not anti-government. As you will see later in the video, government supports them and they support government. What are you talking about?
When Black Lives Matter protesters arrived, individuals from the right-wing crowd confronted them.
We live here! I live here! Hey guys, come on, no.
The protesters were beaten.
Michael got him!
Of course you're gonna get beaten, because you don't have a gun. It blows my mind that these, BLM protests, none of them have guns. Guys, the police has guns. The police has armed private militias that are ready to kill you. But you don't have guns? What are you thinking? What are you doing? Do you not know how to get guns, how guns work? I'm confused. What's the situation? I am very, very much confused. Do you need me to explain you, Black Lives Matter activists, how guns work and how to get them? It's not complicated. It's a gun. It's not a spaceship. It's a couple of $100. Okay, maybe for a rifle, $600-700 for a rifle, for a 5.56 rifle.
And tased.
Joe!
Yeah. That's what happens when you go out protesting without guns. You have government that's trying to suppress your protest through armed militia groups.
A police officer was sitting in a car about 200 feet away and did not intervene.
Police right here. Ukaipa police officer right here. Ain't doing nothing.
In a statement, the Ukaipa Police Department said that it was, quote, extremely busy with calls that night, and that when officers arrived to the scene, no victims wanted to press charges.
Are we 100% sure that those victims didn't want to press charges? Or were they physically threatened and intimidated into not even being able to press charges? Oh, wait, hold on a second. It just literally just came to my mind. I've seen this video before. This just came to my mind. Can you imagine if somebody actually wanted to press charges? Who would they press charges to? The police that supports these armed groups? How well do you think that would have went?
They later arrested one man who was charged with misdemeanor assault.
One person. Out of that whole fiasco, that whole crowd, one person.
Some officers took things a step further and seemed to openly affiliate with armed groups.
That's a 3%. If we can get a good screen freeze so we can actually have it in focus. That's a 3% symbol. So how is 3% right-wing anti-government group if the government supports them and they support the government? Could you explain how that's anti-government when they are literally working together? Jesus Christ. I am not making any, I don't have any facts that you don't from this video. I'm assuming that, let's say, New York Times producer and me are watching the same video. We're watching the same video. But how do you come to these crazy, illogical, unfactual, unsubstantiated conclusions? Anti-government. Yeah, they are so anti-government that police is literally helping them. And they are helping the police. Yeah, watch out, so anti-government.
Like this scene in Philadelphia in June. In one part of the city, a group of men with bats and axes confronted Black Lives Matter protesters. And in another, uniformed police officers posed for pictures with armed civilians.
Yeah, totally anti-government, yeah. Woo, watch out, they're anti-government.
here at the Philadelphia Police, protecting the neighborhood. And yes, I have an AR-15 on me.
If we can freeze screen on that gun that he had, AR-15, do you think that guy, how do you think he got that AR-15? Do you think in the middle of the night he woke up, snuck out of his house, and then met with a gun dealer in a dark alley behind a garbage can, behind the dumpster, and then they secretly exchanged Bitcoin for AR-15? Do you really think that's what happened? Or do you think this guy went to a gun store, asked government for permission, the government told, oh, you want a gun? Okay, there you go, there's a gun. Do you think, which one? Is it sneaky in the middle of the night, or in a broad daylight in the store buying a gun with government's permission? Asking government permission to buy a gun. Which one is it? I think it's the second one. He asked the government for permission, the government allowed him to buy a gun, and he now owns a gun. Guys, you don't gotta be genius. You don't gotta be smart. Editor. Not editor, I'm sorry. Producer. Who produced this? Who wrote the script? Your Constitution, right? Your Constitution. What does Bill of Rights say? What's the Second Amendment, right? I don't even need to pull it up. I remember it off the top of my head. If you want to buy a gun, ask the government for permission, and you can own a gun. That's almost verbatim what Second Amendment says. These guys, government supports them, and they support the government.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
In some cases, on-duty police officers wore symbols from armed far-right movements. Like here in Chicago, where footage from CBS 2 News shows an officer wearing a 3%ers mask. The Chicago Police Department says the incident is still under investigation. And in Orange County, California,
if they are against police, if they are anti-government, anti-government, why is government supporting them? God, who wrote this?
California, an officer wore patches from the anti-government Oath Keepers movement and 3%ers.
Yeah. Is it because those organizations support the government? They will do what government tells them to do. They will do work that government not necessarily want to get caught doing.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office said the symbols are prohibited and that it's conducting an internal investigation. We found other officers who posed with armed groups and people associated with
Hold on. Let's freeze on this picture right here. What are they doing? That's a sign. That's a 3%er sign. They're not just holding fingers because, let's do something absolutely unexplainable. Guys, they support 3%ers. They support the Oath Keepers. And Oath Keepers and 3%ers support the government. I'm not gonna, please don't be one of those crazy conspiracy theorists, but I'm not saying they're gonna take over the America or blah, blah, blah. No, they got each other's backs. That's it.
Who posed with armed groups and people associated with anti-government organizations. In several encounters.
What anti-government organization? Producer, give me one. Give me one anti-government organization, and then give me, here's how they are anti-government, right? You can't just be pulling stuff out of your butt.
Police officers seem to have a supportive relationship with armed groups. Like in Virginia, where a police chief shook hands and shared a drink with an armed man wearing a shirt associated with the anti-government Boogaloo movement ahead of a planned protest.
Support your right to free speech.
I want you to uphold the Constitution. That's what I want you to do.
And we all know that police uphold the Constitution. Of course they do, right?
The police chief later said he was trying to de-escalate the situation. In Michigan, one county sheriff appeared with a member of an unlawful paramilitary group who would later be charged with material support for terrorism for plotting to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Let's talk about this whole situation of, trying to kidnap Governor Whitmer. I'm just gonna go through some stuff from BuzzFeed, okay? We're turning to BuzzFeed for facts. Isn't it hilarious? An examination of the case by BuzzFeed News also reveals that some of those informants acting under direction of FBI played far larger role than previously has been reported. Working in secret, they did more than just passively observe. They report on occasions and report and actions of the suspects. Instead, they had a hand in nearly every aspect of alleged plot, starting with its inception. Guys, 12 out of 18 people, 12 out of 18 people were government informants. When 2 out of 3, or 66%, when 66% of an operation is ran by government, are we sure that's an extremist group trying to do something sneaky and secret or evil? Let's check this out. Hold on. Where was it? I just saw it here somewhere. At least 12 informants played a role in justice system conspiracy case, according to interview. Okay, 12 out of 18 people. 12 out of 18 people were informants, were working for the government, for the FBI or whatever other agencies. FBI informants had bigger role in Whitmer kidnapping in plan than thought. Okay, hold on, we're not just yet. Whitmer plot suspect accuses FBI agents of entrapment. When you have an FBI associate, agent, whatever you want to call it, informant, I'm just going to call it associate. When you have FBI directing and planning the kidnapping, are we sure that it's the right-wing group that we should be investigating? Are they insane? Are they illogical, crazy? Yes. But they're not smart enough to actually plan this. To actually incept it, to actually start it. Plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, hatched in Ohio, was conceived and steered by FBI. Guys, I'm not reading some crazy conspiracy Alex Jones websites. This is mainstream media, guys. This is Yahoo. This is Freep, whatever the hell that is. Michigan governor plot dreamt up by FBI informants, accused leaders claims. Guys, this is ABC 7 Chicago. You cannot get any more further away from right-wing groups. Hold on a second. Hold on. There's another one that I want to see. FBI agent in investigation of Whitmer kidnapping plot is charged. One of the agents is charged with what was it, some kind of assault or something? Facing assault. Yeah, it was an assault charge. Guys. When you have a multi-million-dollar media company and you say something that is so ridiculous, something so easily provable wrong, something so stupid, what does that do to your brand? Like, I understand you have your narratives you want to push. I understand you have your agenda you want to push. But do you understand that you could be pushing agenda from the hill of trust, from the foundation of trust? You can still push agendas from a foundation of trust. Let's go back because I can't. Something so easily disprovable. What does that do to your brand? What does that do to? Do you think people trust you, or people watch you simply as just a dancing monkey? Do you want to be a foundation of trust, somewhere where people can actually trust you and you can actually make an impact, or do you want to be a content creator? We're a dancing monkey. People watch our videos while they take a shit, while they're driving, while they're cooking. Yeah, they'll watch some stuff. We'll charge advertisement money to our people who want to advertise with us. But nobody actually believes our shit. All we are is just a dancing monkey. Do you want to be a source that's trustworthy, or do you simply want to be a content creator? Do you want to be factual? Or do you want to be a dancing monkey? All right, we're done. Let's go with this video.
Whitmer. The sheriff told the reporter that the men had the right to make a citizen's arrest.
A lot of people are angry with the governor. They want her arrested.
He later said he wasn't defending their actions.
All right, we're done with that whole kidnapping situation because that thing is just complete fucking.
In a few instances, we found visual evidence of police officers seemingly working with armed groups, blurring the line between armed civilians and the police. During protests in Louisville, the Oath Keepers, a paramilitary group opposed to the power of the federal government that recruits retired military and law enforcement officers, called for members from surrounding states to provide protection.
These are ex-government employees. Do you really think they are anti-government? Let's be honest. The producer of this video decided to say that all these organizations are anti-government, and it is factually not true. It is a lie. Why would you still be pushing this idea? It's just insane. They are ex-government employees. They support the government. They are still getting paychecks from the government. Are we 100% sure that these people are anti-government? The people that are getting monthly paychecks from the government. These people are anti-government.
We need qualified men. We have a good number of skilled veterans already prepared, both military and law enforcement, and firefighters, and etc. But we need more.
Here are the Oath Keepers documenting their operation and soliciting new recruits on YouTube.
This is Oath Keepers.
Guys, look at it. This guy's with the paintball gun. I played with guns, with toy guns when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. How old is this guy? 30, 35, 40%? I mean, 40 years old. Do you not see the whole point that I'm trying to make with this response to this video? These are people that want to be part of the government. These are people that want to dominate regular people like you and me, that are without guns, without all this clowning, all this stuff. They want to dominate, they want to control, they want to, when I say control, I don't mean like, ooh, they want to control us. No, I don't mean like some kind of mind control or some bullshit. I mean control in the streets. Hey, you can't go there. That's it, you can't go there. I got guns. Police are backing me up. I'm working with police. You can't go there. Do you remember like in 1950s, 1960s, 1970s when black people weren't allowed to like drink from certain fountains, couldn't go to certain businesses, had to ride in certain parts of the bus, right? Like in the back of the bus, or they couldn't go to same colleges, they couldn't live in the same neighborhoods as white people. Do you remember that? That's exactly what these people are trying to do. Except now, it's not necessarily race-based, it's class-based. There's people that have guns and work with the government, and there's people that don't have guns and are not working with the government, just trying to live regular life.
Keepers, we're on the ground in Louisville, Kentucky.
They explain their relationship with the police.
As always, we coordinate closely with local law enforcement. We're not in allegiance with them. We're not formally aligned. No one should lose their mind.
You closely coordinate with them, but you are not in allegiance with them, even though all of your members are part of ex-government employees? Is it me, or did that just sound like complete pile of bullshit? Like just complete, what the hell did he just say? That sounds like a lie. That sounds like a lie to me.
On over that. But we do, of course, contact them, let them know where we're going to be, how to identify our people, and how to reach our leadership.
Yeah, they are not aligned with them.
This type of coordination can make it unclear who's policing the streets.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
In September, a group of armed civilians in Oregon gathered, claiming to protect their community after disinformation spread that Antifa was starting wildfires. Here's a sheriff's deputy in Clackamas County talking to a group of armed civilians.
Trust me, I am on your side, people. I am more than
Does it look like these people are anti-government, or does it more look like they are pro-government? They are supporting government in any way that they can.
The deputy even suggested how they could cover up a shooting. He was placed on leave.
Guys, who's gonna prosecute him? The government? He works for the government. The government's be like, we investigated ourselves and found ourselves not guilty. Of course. Who's gonna arrest him? The police? He is the police. Who's gonna prosecute him? The police or the government? He is the police. He is the government. He is part of the city government. He has a government job.
Disciplined, and later retired.
He wasn't fired. He retired. He's sitting home, jerking off, or maybe even hanging out with these pro-government organizations, toting his machine guns or whatever he has now around the street. Or what do you think? He's just fishing, having a good time? Sure. He's fishing, having a good time, enjoying life, Before that, he was teaching people how to cover up murders, though. That was his thing. Now he's just on a boat enjoying life. Is that what we do? Is that what we do in America? When a policeman is teaching somebody how to cover up a murder, we just pay him a paycheck, don't put him in jail? Is that what we do? I guess so.
Experts told us that law enforcement's sometimes lenient approach to armed groups can create an environment in which these groups believe they have the backing of the state, are subject to a different set of rules, and might even be justified taking violent action.
They are subject to a different type of rules. They are, because they are supported by the government. When I say the government, I don't mean, the White House, the president, the Congress, the secret government, or what is that Alex Jones says? What is his thing, claim to fame? Oh, the elites. Ooh, the elites. Watch out, they're gonna get you. That's not what I'm saying when I say government. When I say government, I mean local government. Starting with police, starting with local military, starting with a judicial system, starting with mayor, city council, governors. Guys, if the governors didn't support this, do you think they would be giving all this money to the police departments that are supporting this? It's real easy to decide how your county is ran as a government, as a governor. You just stop giving money to the organizations that are violating human rights, that are being evil. It's real easy. It's not complicated. You don't even got to get off your ass. Just say, hey, all right, them. Oh, and those guys. Okay, those guys. Okay, yeah, they're not getting paychecks. I'm not paying them. Oh, you're telling me that person is teaching people how to cover up murders? Well, let's prosecute them. What did governors do? What could you? Oh, nothing. What did mayors do? Mayors of the city. Oh, nothing. Well, maybe the city council was up in arms. Oh, they weren't.
As Americans grapple with how to push for police reform, the events of 2020 suggest the country has another problem on its hands. An increasingly blurred line between armed groups and the police.
The last part of this whole video was absolutely horrific. The last line is absolutely true. That's why wasn't the whole video based around how government is supporting these armed groups and how these armed groups are supporting and obeying the government? Why wasn't the entire video on that? In 2020, this whole, Black Lives Matter, what is it? What was it essentially? What was it about? There was a lot of stuff happening. At the core, what was it about? It was about reforming police and holding police accountable. If we're going to be, if we're going to be reforming police and holding policemen accountable, holy shit, some of them might actually go to jail. Some of them might actually have to be in prison for a very, 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 very long time. How do you go around that? Oh, it's real easy. You just have people that are supported by the government doing the shooting for you. You don't have to get policemen involved. We'll just have people like Kyle Rittenhouse do it for you. Do you see what I'm saying? I told you I was going to talk about Kyle. I told you I was going to talk about him. The problem that I personally have with Kyle Rittenhouse is that he drove into a place where it was dangerous with a gun when he didn't have to. He didn't have to be there. Was that gun for self-protection, or was that gun for killing people? If he wanted to be safe, right? That gun was for self-protection. Wouldn't it be better just to stay home and not put yourself in a situation where you can kill people? Was him going to another city, was that an excuse to kill people? I think it was. I believe it was. The only reason that he's not gonna be found guilty at all. He's gonna be let go, and I wouldn't be surprised if this guy writes a book, makes a movie, and makes millions of dollars from killing these people. I wouldn't be surprised. This guy purposefully drove with a rifle to a place where he didn't have to be, purposefully. In World War II, there's a story. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to recall the year, the time, or the location, but it's in Europe, World War II. There was a field where there was Nazis on one side and allies, Americans, British, and whoever else on the other side. And it was like this, right? These guys are shooting this way. This guy shooting this way, and allies are trying to, they're trying to advance, right? And allies are advancing. They're pushing. There's a field. There wasn't just field. There's like, forest, mountains, field. But there's a church in one place, right? There's a church in there. And American soldiers, they were American medics, soldiers with guns. They had guns. They had machine guns. They had real guns, not paintball guns. They started to bring wounded into that church. Blood everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Bloody benches, bloody door handles, bloody drag marks on the floor, blood everywhere. Guns shooting everywhere. Machine guns, bam, 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 bam. Planes, dropping bombs. Tanks rolling by, tanks shooting. And then German artillery, German tanks shooting right at them. American soldiers ran out into the field, grabbed the wounded, dragged them in. Ran out, grabbed a wounded guy, dragged them in. And it didn't matter if it was an American soldier or a bad guy, evil German soldier. They saw a wounded guy, they put him on the back, and they brought him in, and they stitched him up and did whatever they had to save this guy's life. It doesn't matter. They were Nazis. They were Americans. There's both people. There was whole bunch of people in that church. So when you are telling me that Kyle Rittenhouse went out to provide medical assistance and oopsie daisy shot a whole bunch of people, I don't believe that. When in World War II, there's a real war, and these medics are saving lives without machine gunning people left them. Were their friends killing people? Absolutely. Were their squad or whatever you want to call them, battalion? Was their battalion killing a whole bunch of people? Absolutely. Was their battalion, shooting people that was one of those German soldiers shot by their battalion? Yes. But you do not tell me that Kyle Rittenhouse came over there because he wanted to provide medical assistance. He came out there with the gun hoping to kill people. And he knew that nothing will happen to him because he is supported by the government.